The history of the Trump family is a multi-generational saga of entrepreneurship, ambition, and the ability to capitalize on opportunities. Its roots trace back to 19th century Germany, from where the journey to establishing one of America's most famous business empires began. Friedrich Trump, the original art of the deal. Forget everything you think you know about the Trump fortune. It didn't start with skyscrapers. It started with a 16-year-old German barber's apprentice who had a simple, ruthless talent. He knew how to profit from human desire. Friedrich Trump's story is the raw, unvarnished origin of the dynasty. He didn't inherit wealth. He forged it in the lawless, opportunistic heart of the American frontier. His strategy was timeless. During a gold rush, sell the shovels, not the dreams. His first masterstroke was in Seattle. While thousands flocked to the West Coast for gold, Friedrich saw a richer vein, the miners themselves. He opened a restaurant on a street known for its brothels. It was a euphemism. His establishment, the Dairy Restaurant, was in reality a booming business that provided the three things lonely, exhausted men would pay a fortune for: hot food, strong liquor, and female companionship. This wasn't a restaurant. It was a gold mine, servicing a gold rush. But his real genius was his timing and lack of sentimentality. When he heard whispers of a new, bigger strike in the frozen Klondike, he didn't hesitate. He liquidated his assets, followed the hype north, and went even bigger. In the makeshift frozen town of Bennett, British Columbia, he built his magnum opus, the Arctic Restaurant and Hotel. The name was, again, a polite fiction. This was a full-scale entertainment complex, a combination of a hotel, a restaurant, a bar, and a brothel, all under one roof. It was famously known as a place for men only, with a sign discouraging women from entering. It was the most expensive and popular establishment in the area. His business model was brutally efficient. Identify a hyped location, go where the money and desperate people are flowing, gold rush towns. Cater to base needs, provide vices, alcohol, gambling, sex that are in high demand and have huge profit margins. Sell an experience. Offer a fleeting escape from a hard life and charge a premium for it. Exit before the crash. He had a predator's instinct for danger. As the gold began to dwindle and Canadian authorities started cracking down on the illicit trade, Friedrich didn't wait. He sold both of his highly profitable establishments to his business partner and got out with a massive fortune. His timing was impeccable. Soon after, the businesses were shut down and eventually burned to the ground in a fire. By the age of 32, Friedrich Trump returned to New York a very wealthy man. He had turned nothing into a fortune through sheer cunning, opportunism, and a complete lack of squeamishness about how the money was made. He then pivoted to a more respectable but equally profitable venture: New York real estate, buying up land and apartments. His personal life, including his marriage, was a footnote in this story of relentless accumulation. It was a strategic move to secure a wife from his homeland, but it was his business, acumen, ruthless, sharp, and perfectly adapted to its environment, that laid the unshakable financial and philosophical foundation for everything that followed. He was the original dealmaker, and his playbook, find the hype, service the vice, and get out clean, would echo through the generations. Fred Trump, the architect of the empire. If Friedrich was the daring prospector who struck gold, his son Fred was the industrialist who built the refinery. He was the crucial bridge, the man who transformed his father's volatile frontier fortune into a stable, sprawling, and politically connected empire. Fred took the entrepreneurial spark and smothered it in concrete and bureaucracy, creating a machine that printed money through discipline and connections. Let's be clear. Fred Trump was the antithesis of flash. While his future son Donald would crave the spotlight of Manhattan, Fred was a creature of the outer boroughs, Brooklyn and Queens. He was a man of puritanical habits, a workaholic who reportedly brought his own lunch in a paper bag to his construction sites, even as he oversaw millions of dollars in projects. He didn't seek admiration, he sought accumulation, and accumulate he did. His genius lay not in creating new, exciting business models, but in mastering a boring, predictable, and incredibly lucrative one: government-subsidized housing. While his father Friedrich made a fortune catering to vices, Fred made an even larger one by becoming the government's favorite landlord. Here's where a personal observation is irresistible. Fred Trump was essentially a pioneer of what we might now call public-private partnership, though his version was often ethically murky. He possessed a near-clairvoyant understanding of how to work the levers of power. He didn't just build houses, he built relationships. He became a prolific donor to the Democratic Party machine, notably cultivating the powerful Brooklyn boss, Meany. He didn't need to be charismatic, he just needed to be reliable and useful to those in power. The system he perfected was a golden goose. Through programs like the Federal Housing Administration, FHA, he could secure loans that covered up to 90% of his construction costs. Imagine the audacity of that business model. The taxpayer bore almost all the risk, while Fred Trump reaped the rewards. He became a master of what investigators would later call profit padding, charging the government inflated costs through a web of interconnected companies he controlled. He'd have one company owned by a relative sell overpriced appliances to another company he owned that was building the FHA-funded project. It was a legal, if morally questionable, way to siphon public funds into his own pockets. His timing was also impeccable. During the Great Depression, he used his cash reserves to snap up land and bankrupt mortgage companies for pennies on the dollar. During World War II, he pivoted to building barracks and housing for Navy personnel near the Brooklyn shipyards. And when the soldiers returned home, he was perfectly positioned to cash in on the veteran housing boom. At his peak, he owned over 30,000 apartments. He wasn't just a developer, he was a housing utility for New York City. But this empire had a dark underbelly. The Trump's company was repeatedly accused of systemic racism, refusing to rent to black tenants. In a deeply symbolic moment, Fred was once actually arrested at a violent Ku Klux Klan rally in 1927. While charges were never formally filed, and he later claimed he had just wandered in, the image is jarring. The future pillar of New York real estate, standing amidst a sea of hatred. It was a part of his world he never truly escaped. As a father, Fred was a strict, demanding patriarch who ruled his household with the same iron fist he used on his construction sites. He instilled in his children, particularly Donald, a relentless drive for money and victory, but seemingly little else. His relationship with his eldest son and namesake, Freddie, was a tragedy. Freddie, who dreamed of being an airline pilot, was mercilessly mocked by his father and younger brother Donald for his unmanly career choice, being compared to a bus driver. The constant bullying and pressure broke Freddie, leading to alcoholism and an early death at 42. It was a stark lesson in the human cost of the Trump family's brutal definition of success. In the end, Fred Trump's legacy is one of immense calculated wealth creation. He was the boring, ruthless, and brilliant operator who built the financial fortress that would later allow his son Donald to fail spectacularly, survive, and reinvent himself. He was the empire's architect, proving that sometimes the most powerful deals aren't made with flash and glamour, but in quiet backrooms with politicians and government checkbooks. Donald Trump, the brand, the showman, the president. If Friedrich was the daring prospector and Fred the disciplined engineer, then Donald Trump is the dazzling, unmissable billboard that towers over everything they built. He is the third-generation phenomenon who understood that in modern America, perception isn't just part of the game, it is the game. He transformed a solid New York real estate fortune into a global brand, and then, against all odds, into the ultimate political position. From his earliest days, Donald was different. He wasn't content with the quiet, grinding profitability of his father's outer borough empire. While Fred was counting pennies and managing thousands of modest apartments, Donald was dreaming in gold and marble. He didn't just want to be rich, he wanted to be famous. He craved the spotlight of Manhattan, and he was willing to be audacious, even reckless, to seize it. His education is a telling prelude. Sent to a military academy to curb his rebelliousness, he didn't embrace military service, but adopted a posture of aggressive toughness. At the Wharton School, he was, by a professor's account, the dumbest student I ever had. But Donald wasn't there to learn. He was there for the credential. He saw the diploma not as proof of knowledge, but as a prop in the story he was already building about himself, the brilliant young mogul. His early career was a masterclass in leveraging his father's assets to create his own legend. The Grand Hyatt Hotel project was a perfect example. Fred provided the money and the political connections, but Donald provided the vision and the gall to transform a dilapidated eyesore into a glitzy landmark. He understood the theater of development. He slapped his name in giant brass letters on everything he touched, understanding that the Trump name itself, synonymous with luxury, excess, and success, was becoming his most valuable asset. The 1980s were his zenith. Trump Tower, with its pink marble and six-story waterfall, became a monument to his ego and a magnet for the era's celebrities. He bought an airline, a yacht, and casinos. He was the king of New York, featured on the cover of magazines, his personal life a tabloid fixture. He cultivated an image of unparalleled success, often inflating his net worth with a wink, understanding that the appearance of wealth could be a tool to acquire real wealth. But the house of cards nearly collapsed in the early 1990s. His empire, built on a mountain of high-interest debt, crumbled under the weight of a recession. He was billions of dollars in debt, personally on the hook for nearly $1 billion. It was the defining crisis of his life. And here, the safety net his father built proved its worth. While Donald performed the public drama of the comeback kid writing The Art of the Comeback, it was Fred Trump's clandestine financial maneuvers that truly saved him. The now infamous scheme where Fred's lawyer bought $5 million in casino chips without gambling, funneling a life-saving cash infusion to his son, was just one example. The family fortune, diligently accumulated through decades of government contracts, was used to bail out the flamboyant heir. This near-death experience led to his most brilliant pivot. He realized he didn't need to own the skyscraper. He just needed to license his name to be put on it. The Trump Organization shifted from a high-risk development company to a low-risk branding company. His name was slapped on ties, stakes, water, and most notoriously, a sham university. And he became a reality TV star, playing the archetype of the tough, decisive billionaire on The Apprentice. For a nation watching at home, he wasn't just a businessman, he was the ultimate boss, a symbol of unapologetic success. This carefully crafted persona was the rocket fuel for his political career. He wasn't a politician, he was a showman, and the presidential campaign was his greatest show. He understood the power of media, of simple, potent slogans, and of channeling public discontent. The White House became the ultimate branding opportunity. A personal observation is unavoidable here. For Donald Trump, the presidency often seemed less like a governance project and more like a season of a reality show set in the West Wing. Governance was conducted through tweet storms, policy was announced on rally stages, and loyalty was the ultimate currency. His tenure was a continuous spectacle, a blur of bombast, controversy, and a relentless assault on political norms. In conclusion, Donald Trump is the ultimate synthesis of the Trump family legacy. He has Friedrich's instinct for the main chance and his flair for promotion. He has Fred's relentless drive and understanding of the system, which he used to master a different kind of machine, the media and political landscape. But he added a third, defining element. He is a pure performance artist of power. He proved that in the 21st century, a compelling narrative, relentlessly broadcast, can not only build a fortune, but can also conquer the highest office in the land. The story of the Trump family, which began with a desperate German teenager boarding a ship, culminated with his grandson in the Oval Office, forever blurring the lines between businessman, celebrity, and statesman. So what can we learn from this saga of the three Trump generations? This isn't just a success story, it's a textbook on three different philosophies of wealth creation, each perfect for its time. Friedrich taught us to see opportunity where others see only dirt and risk. He didn't search for gold, he sold shovels, drinks, and entertainment to those who did. His creed was adaptability and a willingness to get your hands dirty. Fred demonstrated the power of systems and connections. He proved that the most reliable path to wealth isn't a breakthrough innovation, but the perfect execution of a boring yet in-demand model backed by government contracts. His creed was discipline, risk minimization, and investment in political capital. Donald is the genius of our time. He understood that the main asset in the 21st century isn't real estate or even money, but attention. He masterfully turned his name into a brand, and the brand into political power. His creed is perception is more important than reality, and your personal narrative is the most valuable commodity. So what should you do? Here are three practical takeaways from this story. Find your gold rush. Don't just follow the crowd. Like Friedrich, look around. What need can you fulfill for those rushing headlong? Be the one who sells the shovels, not the one unsuccessfully searching for gold. Build a system, don't just work. Fred didn't just build houses, he built a machine for accessing government funds. Think not only about immediate profit, but about creating a reliable, scalable system that generates money on autopilot. Invest in your personal brand. This is Donald's lesson. Your name and reputation are your most important assets in the digital age. What do people think of you? What story do they believe? Start building your brand today, whether through social media, a blog, or by establishing yourself as an expert. This story proves that you don't have to be first to be the best. You need to be the smartest, the most adaptable, and the most persistent. If you found this dive into history fascinating, then do us a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.